Welcome to Upper Lafayette on the Move. I'm Jan Swift. We're filming this episode in a little bit later August 2016, right after the tragic flood that has affected our region. And I couldn't think of a better guest for today's show than Heidi Melanson, who's director of the Small Business Development Center at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette.
That's correct.
I didn't know if I would get that out without stumbling over it. So,
right.
Heidi, thank you so much for joining us today. And we've kind of gotten to know each other through business and economic development, and I personally had no idea about the outreach that people that have been affected by this flood have through the Small Business Administration and the SBDC.
Correct.
So if we can, I'd like to talk about that today and all the things that you do, but we always like to start with people and their background, and tell us where you grew up, studied, and how you ended up at the SBDC here in Lafayette.
I grew up in a little town called Luling, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was German and immigrated after the war. My mom was from the Luling area. So when it came time for college, I think most of my high school went to Nichols State University, and I said I was going to be different. So here I am. I ended up in Lafayette, and I thought it was a foreign country.
Different, huh?
Very different. And then,
French.
you know, at this point, I've been here off and on for 30 years.
And so when did you join the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center?
To be quite honest, it was, I can remember there was an opening that had started in September 2005. Hurricanes hit, and so the position went away. And then I was called back and asked if I wanted to work on contract to help those that were affected by Katrina and Rita. And what I did was I helped them go through the disaster loan to get assistance, whether it was their home or their business, and then it turned into a permanent position with Small Business Development Center. Was
that your background? Had you worked in
absolutely. I actually worked in international freight forwarding, and right out of college I worked for a startup out of France, and so it's kind of a little very background that I had, but because I had so much background in business, I think that's where it was paramount.
And coordination
and
of assets.
Correct.
So I know that in 2014 you were promoted to director of the SBDC.
Our team dismantled. We had some that retired, some that moved on to a promotion, and so at that point I was the next in line as the director, which was really hard for me because I really enjoy the one-on-one counseling and helping people. So I've still worked it out where I'm able to do both.
That's great. Now, where is your office located for people that don't know about you?
We are located in Suite 236 in the Light Center. We just moved back there in June. And so what's great is there was a plan to put all economic development entities back in that building. And so you can get help with government contracting, manufacturers have resources as well, and then also the opportunity machine is in there as well.
I love the Light Center because it's so centrally located for Lafayette. And we actually give a lot of events there, but I don't think most people realize that businesses now populate that building, because that wasn't the case for quite a while. But it's really being used by the general public now, by small business and larger business.
Resources for businesses, and I think there's some private suites that are available, but for most part it's a one-stop shop for business owners.
One of our members of Upper Lafayette is Raider Solutions, the computer. They're just my heroes, but I know they moved into the Light Center because of what it had to offer.
It's a great small business success story.
Really. So let's talk before we get into the flood and what's happened. Could you tell us, just generally speaking, what the SBDC's mission is for business?
Small Business Development Centers were actually legislated by Jimmy Carter. They go back to the 70s, and then around 1983 is when they started issuing grants that brought the program to the public through universities. So typically it's a it's a partnership between universities, the federal government, and then typically it involves some state funding as well. So in our situation, U.S. Small Business Administration, that cabinet position funds the entire network, and then there's stipulations that it needs to be matched with the federal funds, and so ours, of course, is Louisiana Economic Development.
So you're one of many around the country.
Correct.
And how many are in Louisiana? Do you know?
We have our state office is in Monroe, so UL Monroe has the contract, and then right now I think we have 7 offices around the state.
And so if I'm I don't know how you define small business, but if I'm a small business owner and I know that I need working capital, could I come to you?
Absolutely.
And what's the process?
There's two ways that we service business owners. Those that are starting and they need to be educated every month all around the state, each center holds starting and financing your small business seminar. It's just a means of educating that person who wants to start a business. And other than that, we work with people on appointment basis, whether they're in business, wanting to expand, or looking for a loan. We work with people one-on-one.
So if I know what I want to do, but I don't necessarily have a business plan or working capital,
Correct.
I come to you.
That's right.
And what's maybe a typical story, like a success story of someone you've helped?
To be honest, I think the most ones that we do the most work for are those that they've got some skin in the game, and then they're either ready to expand or they're looking for a loan so that they can move into another direction. And so those that might want to acquire a business, or you know what, I've gotten to the point where I've got good cash flow, now I'm ready to build a building. And so to me, that's the best success story, is when you've kind of done a few things organically, and then let that bank loan come in and help you.
So you help the survivors. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, startups are still tough at the bank, but if there's merit, and the business plan can prove that that the cash flow is going to funnel and pay the business debts, that's what a bank is looking for.
Do banks refer people to you?
Yes, they do. Typically, people may walk into a bank a little unprepared, not realizing that there's a method to the madness. I need a business plan. I need to work the exercise of developing a budget and cash flow projections. That's exactly what we're going to do, and then we will send them right back to that banker.
Okay, okay. And this is at no charge?
At no charge to the public. We're already pre-funded by your tax dollars. And so with that case, they come on in. The only time there's ever a charge is sometimes we receive demand for a skill set. And if we have to hire a speaker for a seminar, that's the only time there would be a nominal charge. But our services for counseling are at no cost.
Right, right. So for people that are not affected by the flood, before we move on, and just want to get more information, can you tell us about your website or the best way to contact your department?
The website is www.lsbdc.org. What's great about the website, it's interactive. They can actually register for services online.
Oh.
And it's backed up in interfaces with our system, and we will contact them to set up a meeting or send them to a seminar or just point them in the right direction.
Right. Good. Well, I encourage people to look on the website. It's really well done, and I just had no idea the plethora of resources available through the SBDC. So
it's a long-standing program in our community. I think we've been on campus for 33 years.
And you were on campus, right, where the bookstore
Correct. Yeah, we've gone through a little transition and moved strictly because of space. The university, but I think we're in the right location. But what's great is it's under the College of Business.
Right.
So technically, we're an extension of that college, and it really works well because everything that a student is learning in college, we're actually putting it into practice.
Right, right.
At that point.
Let's jump ahead into what's going on now in August. You can hear the thunder. I mean, we're all praying for just a stop to the rain. But for people that are needing help, we're talking about Small Business Development Center. But I've learned that even individuals, like if you need financial assistance, there are loans available through the federal government, through your department. And so if you could maybe give us a synopsis, and we can get into more detail as time allows about what is being offered right now for people that need help with this flood and the losses they've sustained.
So in disaster times, typically small business development centers are called on for assistance, mainly because we're the counseling arm of SBA. And so they solicit our help, as kind of just guiding the disaster people that are coming on the ground, because they're going to set up business recovery centers so that they can help homeowners or business owners with assistance. And so what's happening in this case, only during disasters will SBA ever loan money directly to an individual or a business.
So first, your parish or county, I guess in other states, has to be declared a disaster.
Correct.
So we have gotten that. President Obama.
7 of our 8 Acadiana parishes are disasters.
Okay. Okay.
I think all but St. Mary Parish is not declared a disaster.
Okay, so we're set, unfortunately,
correct,
with the disaster we've experienced. And so, can you go through what's available, the limits, maybe on what people can borrow, and maybe the interest rates?
I think there's loans for homeowners, and then also on the business side. From the home side, from what I can understand, is if you cannot obtain credit elsewhere, you can get up to 1.5 interest rate and on a 30-year amortization, up to $200,000 to fix and repair your home. You know, so I think if there's credit elsewhere, it could be up to 3.15%. But from what most of the SBA representatives were saying, that most are fall in the majority, they're going to get the 1.5 interest rate. And so that's on the home side, which I think is pretty competitive. I think it's,
oh my goodness,
when you actually, I did
it's like a refinance.
I just did $100,000 amortization.
Yeah.
You know, just 30-year, just to kind of get an idea what a loan payment would be. And it came out to about $348 on $100,000. Now that's, you know, just doing it roughly, but just to say, I think that's very affordable.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what you have to do. You know, of course, now they do encourage you to register with FEMA and SBA, and it's not going to prevent you from getting help with FEMA if you go the route of the loan. They just want you to apply for everything right now.
And let's go through that again. People, I guess, are nervous about precluding other options.
That's right.
So they should always contact FEMA and let them know about, I read that online, about the damages, who they are.
That's right.
How to find them, what damage they've sustained.
That's correct.
And then this is a separate process. Then
that's right.
You go and apply
through
for
SBA.
a disaster loan.
That's right. And if you happen to get the grant, that's great. That can be you know, subtracted from the loan amount that you would get. And of course, that would be on the front side. And so I think there's a qualification on FEMA, but do not wait for the grant to come through before you apply for the loan, because you don't want to hold up the process of either or
Is
at that
it limited, Heidi, to the actual repairs, or can you use it for a rental home and other expenses related to getting back on your feet?
From what I understand, it's for the
repairs.
You know, for the repairs of it. There's some exceptions. I think on rental property, that may be under a business. I think on that side, so that may be on the business side, and then the homeowners are strictly for your personal residence, not for a secondary home.
Do you think the turnaround time is pretty quick on
From
these
what I
loans?
understand, actually they opened up the Business Recovery Center in Livingston on Friday, and they were already approving loans. And so they actually are reporting those stats every day across the 20 parishes.
Now, I just left a meeting at LEDA, and I do want to say that while we want people to get back on their feet quickly, there is a need also to let the house dry out.
Absolutely.
And not jump in too quickly on the repairs.
That's right.
I know people need to rip out the wet
and with this rain
sheetrock
going on,
and all,
you know?
it's going to be tough, but repairing too quickly can cause further damage down the line.
Absolutely.
So it's like a fine balancing act, but having that peace of mind that you can get a loan.
That's right.
Is worth, it's, you know, it's just,
well, from what,
can't put a value on that.
And what we were advised today is go ahead and apply for the loan. There's no payment penalty. There's no fees to the loan, meaning if you choose.
You don't have to pay to apply.
No, there's no payment. There's no fees on it. So if for whatever reason you don't need it after the fact, you can always pay it back right away with no penalty. And so that's why they're encouraging everyone to do it, because at the last, you don't want to have to go back after the fact and say, you know what, I could have used $30,000. So they're going to work with you through your case, you know, case by case. And even on the business side, the one loan that people are going to be curious about is economic injury.
And what is that?
So that's outside of any property damage. Business owners are experiencing people not coming in right now and shopping or what have you. So this is your working capital. So there's an opportunity on the application to check it off, and they will be contacted by a loan officer who will work with them to determine what's their monthly cost. And you know, at that point, do you need 2 or 3 months? You have all the way until May 2017 to apply for that loan.
And so that would apply, I guess, separately if you needed an individual loan?
Correct.
Or can you qualify for both if you're a small business owner? Absolutely.
So there's a property damage, and then this is the economic injury.
And the business loans can be up to $2 million.
Correct, $2 million.
Depending on the need.
That's the cap, right, exactly.
And that's for any business, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit.
Nonprofit, and churches are eligible as well.
So churches that were destroyed.
Churches, nonprofits, and private businesses. Absolutely.
I know as much damage as we've had locally, some of our neighbors are just, it's
very
still underwater.
Devastating. Absolutely.
Still underwater. And what we've had here is beyond belief.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to minimize what Lafayette's going through, but it's a crisis for our state.
Absolutely. And we really don't know the fallout from the business side.
Right. Because I don't think you're hearing yet.
No, and I think they're focusing on their immediate needs, which that's their home. And then afterwards, they'll turn their attention to their business, and at that point they may say, you know what, I really do need that loan for the injury that that's occurring for my business. And so that's why they keep that one open well into 2017.
Okay. Now, where do people go to apply for these loans? I know you said they can go to your website.
No, not my, these loans are through
Small
SBA
Business
Disaster, correct.
Okay. So
Small
where do they
business-
go for this?
For this, they can go, they have assistance. There are representatives on the ground right now from SBA disaster teams, and that's located in the Light Center. It's actually across the hall from my office in Suite 238.
Okay.
And they can walk in and do that, but it does not change. They can do it online or walk in.
So what are the hours for the on-site application?
I think Monday through Saturday it's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then on Sunday it's 12 to 4 p.m.
And they don't need an appointment?
No
or-
appointment.
Okay.
Actually, the crowds were pretty light today. They were seeing them first come, first serve.
I bet when the word gets out, though, Heidi, it's going to be busy. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's great too, Light also has offered a small suite for any business that is displaced or cannot conduct business. If they send an email to my email or to Light, they actually could receive just a desk space that's available to them to operate.
I understand that there might be space for up to 40.
40 people,
business
correct.
people.
And I'll be honest, there was only about 2 or 3 that were taking advantage of it at this time.
Yeah.
So there's still
It's still
plenty of
quick.
space for people to come at that point.
And what is your email and phone number?
My phone number is 337-482-6312, and my email is hmelanson, MELANCON, at lsbdc.org, Louisiana Small Business Development Center.
So what I did was I just Googled it, and
It'll
everything
come up.
comes
It'll
up.
come up, absolutely.
Yeah, and you've got quite a staff there
Yeah.
assisting you also.
Yep. They will find us if they just put that information in. It'll come up.
Well, what haven't we discussed? Because I know there's so many elements to this relief operation.
Efforts that are going on. Definitely the focus right now is, what concerns me is I think a lot of people are waiting to see what FEMA will allow them to have as,
And let's
help.
jump into that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I think the top amount you can get is $33,000.
Up to 33, right.
And the average payout is, again, not much. It's maybe between $7,500 and $8,000.
I looked at
an average.
Yeah, I think I saw something that even on Hurricane Sandy, it was about 8,000 payout, and I saw something in the media that they were going to try to push the limits to 10, but there's no,
still.
there's nothing. It's a case-by-case basis
Right.
at that time. But
Right.
to not wait for FEMA, to go ahead and apply for that as well as SBA assistance
get
at the
things
same
moving.
time. Absolutely.
Yeah, because so many people were not in flood zones, and
Absolutely.
especially the town of Youngsville. They didn't need flood insurance, they thought.
And
And
from
it's
what they
such
were
a high
telling
need.
Yeah, and what they were telling me this morning is that regardless, even FEMA, they're still going to channel them to SBA to see if they qualify
Oh.
for assistance through FEMA. Like, in other words, they'll get them, but I think it's also the higher number is based on need. And so if they can't qualify for a loan, then more than likely they will get assistance through FEMA.
So lower income people might get up to
A little bit more,
$33,000.
correct. 'Cause
Like renters that don't own
Absolutely.
and don't have any assets.
because even on the SBA loan, you still have to have credit. You still have to be able to pay it back. And so if you can and you can't qualify for that, FEMA is going to help in that case. But I think those that are able to take the loan, of course, they're going to be expected to do that as well.
Is there going to be counseling for the businesses for how to get themselves back in operation?
Yes, actually, SBDCs are, we are right down the hall, and we're taking referrals at the same time into our area, but also all of the SBDCs across the state as well.
What did you see after Katrina and Rita? Like, how long did this go on where people were still realizing I need more help than I thought,
And some businesses may have not survived at that point. What was very interesting to us is we actually our whole network received a grant to help with disaster planning. And what surprised us is how little people wanted to do the disaster planning. In other words, until the disaster happened, we actually had consultants on staff that would help them with insurance or whatever it would to develop a disaster plan. And we were surprised. A lot of people don't want to talk about disasters until it's at that point. So it's so paramount that you continue to plan for it, because a disaster could actually be construction right in front of your business. And how would you deal with that?
People can't turn left
That's
anymore
right.
or something.
That's right. And
Yeah.
that could impact your business just as much as a storm could.
So you offer counseling for that at no
Absolutely.
charge unless there's a
Absolutely.
need for an expert, you were
That's
saying.
right. Just
So-
something to just mitigate that and think about your insurance. Do I need business interruption insurance? And to be aware of what policies are out there. And that as a business owner to me would be very valuable.
And one thing I've learned, you have to really read the fine print in your insurance policies because business interruption insurance does not cover flood damage.
That's right.
So I think a lot of people were caught unawares thinking that they had planned
That's right.
effectively. And they did everything that they thought was prudent.
And I think we probably take it for granted that our insurance agents are there to help us with that, and we should make it a practice every year
Yeah.
to review our coverage
Yeah.
at that point.
I know it's like after the fact thinking that we didn't have flood insurance and my home was okay, but
Yeah.
but so many people always thought we'll be okay because we're on high ground
That's
and
right.
they've never flooded.
Never thinking that the rain wouldn't stop, at
Right.
that point.
I can't believe it's raining today.
Yeah.
I just we're gonna have to
Absolutely.
all get on our
Absolutely.
hands and knees. So, what what have we not discussed? I know there's some other things that you offer that I probably
Well,
haven't
I'm going to
even-
say in better times, there are many programs that are offered through the Small Business Administration as well as Louisiana Economic Development. And so we are happy to educate business owners about those programs, whether it's from government contracting or strictly programs that can help them with market materials and websites and what have you. So there's a lot of great programs for small businesses that we're happy to educate you on.
And what is a small business? If you can just tell us, how is that defined?
And I want to say even in the state of Louisiana, I think it's very few that we're not even allowed to work with. So it even goes up to 500 million and I think
Oh, wow.
in revenue. So it's
I'd love to be that
very
small.
expansive, right? It's very expansive when what's considered small business at that point.
Right.
So it's majority of ours all are small businesses that can work with us.
Right. Well, in closing, let's say one more time, the local disaster recovery
Center.
center is open.
It is open in the Light Center in Suite 238, and they are open for people to come and they'll walk you through the application step by step.
And the Light Center is LITE. It's
Correct.
on DeValcourt. What
It's
is the address?
537 Cajun Dome Boulevard.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. You get to it from DeValcourt.
DeValcourt,
across
that's
from
right.
Lita's offices.
right.
But the official address is Cajun Dome Boulevard.
right.
And to reach you or your office, again, let's do the website and
Okay.
a phone number and an email.
Website is www.lsbdc.org. Telephone number is 337-482-6312. And I can be reached at hmelanson@lsbdc.org.
Okay. Well, Heidi Melanson, I'd like to thank you
Sure.
for taking time today because I know it's incredibly busy. And I just couldn't think of a better topic for today. For those of you affected by the flood that see the show, my condolences on behalf of the foundation, Upper Lafayette Economic Development Foundation. People are here to help. I think we're all
Absolutely.
seeing the network of love and support that our community is offering, but we just wanted to offer this resource to you today. And again, Heidi, thank you for all that you
Sure.
do
Not a problem.
by providing
you.
your resources. So thank you for watching this. This show and all of our shows can be seen on our website at upperlafayette.com, and they air the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 8:30 p.m. on AOC2. On behalf of Upper Lafayette Economic Development Foundation, I'm Jan Swift with another episode of Upper Lafayette on the Move. Thank you.
Hey, rock, je vois sur le plancher. Hey, rock, chaque fois le band après joué.